From Wall Street to Main Street to help small business owners have the same capital as corporate America and give them the same resources as a larger company. We cover business funding, business credit, scaling, business consulting, and much more. Check out the website at shieldadvisorygroup.com. Welcome to the show, The Liquid Lunch Project.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Lunch Project. I am Matthew Armihan alongside my partner, the professor, Luigi Rosabianca. What's on tap today, Lou?
Matthew, something that we as people and family members, as well as business owners, take for granted is our surroundings, whether it's our home or our offices. We really need to create that comfortable environment, not only to have a wonderful quality of life, but also a wonderful, efficient workspace. So today on the podcast, we have the wonderful Jodi Peterman. Jodi Peterman, CEO of Elizabeth Erin Designs, and also the host of Designing in 5D podcast, is here on our wonderful podcast to explain to us the do's and don'ts of interior design. Welcome to the podcast, Jodi.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to hopefully, if this resonates with your listeners, we will definitely have something that they will be able to take away from this.
Oh, it'll definitely resonate. We have so much to unpack. Let's start with your EED process. I'm assuming EED is the acronym for Elizabeth Erin Designs. What is that process?
It is, but we also took a little spin on that too, and we came up with the name Insured Ease Design Process, because when people think remodeling or new construction, whether it's residential, commercial, they do not think insured ease. They think pain in the butt. They think I'm not sharing my budget with anybody because we're going to go over. Did you know 77% of budgets, all projects go over budget by 20+% every single time? And it doesn't have to be that way. And it's so frustrating for people. And I was in it, and that's how I came up with the process. We were building a new construction home in Iowa, and it was completely frustrating. Allowances don't work because people don't understand, especially if you're not in the building process all the time. Working off of allowances don't work when you can't see the design in whole.
What is an allowance? What do you mean by an allowance?
Yeah. So when you're building a home or when you're remodeling, the first thing people do is they'll call and say, hey, John, why don't you come over and tell me how much it's going to be to redo my kitchen? And John's like, really, in his head, the contractor's thinking, I have no idea how much it's going to be to redo your kitchen because I don't know what finishes you want. If you want decor appliances or if you're going to go with KitchenAid appliances, like there's so much variable in a kitchen. Average kitchen remodel can be $75,000 up to, I mean, gosh, I've seen kitchens go up to $500,000 and $600,000 in a kitchen remodel. It just depends. So what builders and contractors do is say, I'm thinking it's going to be, they'll pick a midpoint, right? So they'll be like, the average kitchen is going to be probably around 100,000. And this is how we're going to get to that number. You're going to get X amount of dollars for your cabinets, X amount of dollars for your appliances, X amount for plumbing, X amount for light fixtures, and so on and so forth. And this is what you do, whether it's for a kitchen or for a whole house. It gets more complicated when you're doing it for a whole house because there's more things that are broken down. So let's say you have $3,000 in your budget for your appliances. The appliances are always the first thing that the client or the contractor has you pick out, because until you have appliances, you can't do cabinets, right? Because you can't plan out a kitchen design. The cabinet people need the appliances. So you go pick out appliances and you're like, ooh, I really want a gas stove instead of an electric stove. And I really like the water, the way the water filter is on this one and this refrigerator. You're like at 7,000. So already you're over 4,000 and you've done one selection, and they make you pick it out and they make you sign off on it. And then you go ahead and order it. So they're on order. And now you go to cabinets and you're like, ooh, that's a really cool glaze. Like I want to pay extra and have that glaze on there. And then you're like, okay, we're not so far over, but then all the things get over. And then by the time you get to the point where you're picking out light fixtures and cabinet hardware and plumbing fixtures, like there's not much in your budget. You're going to end up going over because you have these images of Pinterest and all these really cool images that you found online. And now you're not going to get what you want because you're so far over budget.
So let's talk about appliances, right? And you said they had to be ordered. I know after COVID, I had a few friends that were building houses, doing remodels, and they couldn't get appliances for almost a year to 2 years. Is it still like that now?
No, It's not like that. I mean, it's a little bit like that, but not anywhere near what it was. And that had to do a lot with, the United States is manufacturing like almost everything in China and like they shut down and a whole thing.
Did
So
you get a lot of business during that time frame? Because I know there was the honey-do list that everybody was doing stuff around the house, and you were home the whole time. People were under lockdown. They're looking around their house. They're seeing cracks. They're like, let's just redo the whole thing. Did you get a lot of inquiries? Was that a busy period for you?
and it was in the beginning, it was very rip it off like a band-aid. It was we do a lot of multifamily properties as well nationwide. And a lot of those people, we had two $800,000 projects that they just said we're selling the building. We don't know what's going on. We're not going to do it. So we had already budgeted and slated in time. So we didn't take any new clients during that projected time because of that. So we had a dead space. So at that point we had a space to fill. But then once, the loans started coming in and people were, we kind of saw how the government was stepping in to kind of help cover some of the costs. People felt a little more comfortable and they're like, now is the time to do it. I can't sit on this sofa anymore. Either you're pitching your sofa or pitching your spouse, like one of the things, like you're designing or you're getting divorced. Like that's mainly what we're having babies. Like I don't know what happened during those years, but yeah, yeah. The more so what I saw was a pain for me during the COVID years, if we're talking about that, was the furniture because we had, our furniture vendors were making 300 selling about 300 units a day. So they went from selling 300 to selling over 1,000 units a day. So you're talking about tripling your business in the matter of seconds. So that put everything on hold and back order. Then you had major shipping companies, and I can't remember them now, but I think Sunbelt might have been one of them. They went under. Another one, bought somebody out, and so they didn't even know where half your stuff was. Like we're like, okay, where's this that our clients ordered? Well, we bought them out and now that's with this, and like just tracking your stuff down was insane. Then on top of that, there was a huge, I don't know in 2021 if you guys remember, but in Houston, they had a huge in Texas ice storm and the roof caved in on the building where the most of the foam is manufactured for your upholstery pieces. So it caved the roof in. It ruined the everything that makes the foam. It ruined their inventory of foam. They were not able to make foam for furniture. Like, it was a hot mess. You had the trifecta of 3 things going on at once, and then the ports were closing down because of COVID. So we had stuff in Canada that was coming on a barge that all of a sudden we got a check in the mail for $3,000. I was like, "What is this check for?" They're like, you can't buy from us. We can't get stuff to the United States right now." I'm like, "Well, what happened to it?" Because when I was tracking it, it was like at the port. They're like, "Yeah, we just had to dump it all over into the sea." Like you literally dumped the whole cargo, the whole
Wait,
cargo.
what?
Yeah,
They
they
don't. They
dumped the cargo hold, the metal box into the ocean and went back to Canada because it was cheaper to do that than haul it back. And I was like,
Yeah,
cheaper?
Matt, think about it.
What
Think
about the
about it. At the time,
environment?
yeah, at the time, the fuel cost probably cost more than to haul it back. That's
You
nuts.
guys, I mean, those times were dark. I had people yelling at me for everything. Thank God I had a staging company at that point. I don't have that anymore, but I did. So I was loaning people. I spent so much money keeping people happy with furniture on order. Like the people don't even know that like the furniture companies, if I ordered something in October and it was now taking them about 22 months to get the piece ready. But between the time I ordered it and I pay in full, you have to pay in full for that piece when you get it. Then they said I couldn't get it because the price increased twice as much in 22 months and I had to pay them more money. They're like holding my piece hostage. And my client had already been waiting so long. So what am I supposed to do? I'm like, why can't you guys just say, I paid for you. This is the time I paid for it. You quoted me this price. I paid you for it. And then now on any new items being made, it's going to be this price. Now I got like in huge, like I had to come up with money to not only keep
That's
my
not
business going,
that
but
that's not good business on their part. I
no,
mean, I guess
it's
they
not.
they must have said I can get a higher price, so we're gonna sell it out. We're gonna sell it over here for 2,200 instead of here for 1,000. You
It
know?
was absolutely incredible, and so not only was I having to pay more for furniture to get it from people, so I was making no money. We do a whole process with our furniture with our clients, which we can get into at a later time, but we cover the cost of it going to a third party receiving company, so it gets held for 3 months, then we pay for it to be delivered to them and unwrapped and installed and just all this beautiful stuff that we love to do for our clients. And the clients don't pay any extra for it. I cover that. So I was covering the price of the increase, The price of
Wow.
all this stuff to do that. Plus, the clients didn't have a sofa for 2 months or 2 years. So I was using my inventory that I could have been using to make money. I used that inventory so they would have something to sit on. I had to have it professionally cleaned because it was a used piece of furniture. So I had to have it professionally steamed, cleaned, cleaned of germs, and then another cleaning when it came back to us. Like,
So
we're
you
talking, I'm lucky I'm alive, I feel like.
you had mentioned multifamily. So you're
Yes.
working with some clients that had some buildings, multifamily buildings. Were they
Mhm.
furnished rentals? Is that what it was?
It was, people that would, well, in Des Moines, Iowa, we were working with a really large developer, and they were either getting reclaimed buildings and remodeling them. So we would help go in and work with the architect and kind of
Okay.
plan out spaces and then furniture plan and then pick all the finishes for them and then procure the furniture and the wallpaper and all of those things for them. And then we would also, there was a company during COVID, which was amazing, kept us afloat. We partnered with a company out of Brooklyn, and they were buying multifamily properties across the United States, maybe like C class properties, and they wanted to take
Yeah.
them to a B plus A. So then we would travel there, we would tour it, we would get all the measurements, we would knock down, tell them how, we could knock down this wall, you can get this space. They would say, we need how many office spaces. Then we would do all the design selections and all the ordering of furniture. And then they also then had a model unit that they would do all the finished selections on those. We would just provide all the furnishings for that and accessories, and then we'd go set it all up. So that's
Wow.
what helped us keep alive during all of that mess.
Jodi, help me explain to the audience
Mhm.
how your services are essential. Imagine in a parallel universe where Matthew and I are handy because we're not. So Matt and I are developing headquarters for Shield Advisory Group. Okay,
Okay.
Matt says, "Hey, I can paint," and you say, "Hey, Lou, go to IKEA or RH and get some furniture." Okay,
Mhm.
why do we need Elizabeth Erin Designs, and how would the input of EED help create a better workflow?
Yeah, so on office spaces and or multifamily properties or any business, we like to dive in and look at your branding. For example, this property in Brooklyn found they gave us one property in Iowa. Actually, our Iowa developer gave them our name when they bought a property from them. And we were going through, and their MO was to just go to a state, buy a property, find a local designer, hire them, and do that. And when I went on their website and I was looking at every single property they had listed, because I know that they have investors, and those investors aren't just nationwide; they're international investors. So I was like, how? In my head, I was like, how are they portraying their portfolio to their international investors? And I was like, this is very hodgepodgey. Like, if I'm an investor, this place looks like they went to Home Depot and grabbed everything on sale, and this one looks like they hired the like one of the best designers ever. Like, she did as great of a job as I could have done. Like, it was beautiful. And I was like, how do you know what you're going to get as an investor? And so I approached them and I said, I've never done this nationwide before, but instead of you going and trying to find somebody to trust every single time and waste your time vetting a designer, why don't let us work with you? But I need you to, I need to be more involved. I need to understand your branding more. I need to understand when you're buying the properties, like, what the competition looks like. So I take our design very seriously when we go in. So I feel like that's a value add. Like, I'm going to go do due diligence on what does the competition look like? Do they have a podcast room for their people that are renting their space? What does their pool area look like? What are their grilling stations like? How can we make this look as good as possible within the budget that we're given? And where should we, where can I recommend that they put their dollars and cents? Just kind of work with them as part of a team. So I feel like that's very much a value add and how we're possibly different from other designers. Plus all of the services that we offer. Like, we just try and make it easy for them and become a partner along the way.
Now, Jodi, when you're offering these services on a nationwide basis, I would imagine you'd have to partner with local contractors and local vendors. How do you develop such big tentacles across the country?
Sure. So, like, with our residential side, we work with our clients, and we have a process where we do due diligence and we contact several contractors, and then we get feedback from our clients. And then we'll go up and meet with them when we're on site doing our initial measure, like once the clients sign on with us. As far as third party receiving company, that's done by my procurement branch. They take care of all of that. so that we have a nice place, safe place for the furniture to go. On the commercial side, the developers and investors typically have their own contractors that they want to work with. My job at that point is to come in and be a support system for their contract subcontractors to help them along the way and understand our documents, because we create electrical documents, floor plan documents, wall finish planning key, like everything matches up. So that's kind of like this color equals a wallpaper going here. So please don't texture the walls, because we don't want to pay to untexture them because we're putting wallpaper there. Like we try to make it very like palatable so that anybody can walk in and understand what we're doing.
Beautiful. Now, Jodi, with Elizabeth Erin Designs, sometimes in business, we develop a certain motif. When we're looking at one of your projects,
Hmm.
is there a signature Elizabeth Erin design look, or are you more focused on the needs of your particular client and particular business and finding what's correct for that location?
Right. There's going to be an overall sense of livable luxury. That's where we like to be. It doesn't have to cost millions of dollars. It just needs to look like it. And it has to be livable. You can't be living in a museum, right? So, but we are also not the designer that we design and dash. Like we're not going to design and then leave it up to the contractor. So we're there the whole way through, pulling together the design and looking at the architecture of the home. We are looking at the interior of the home, like what do we have available? What's changing? What's staying the same? How are we going to tie it all together? And what do the clients want it to look and feel like? So there's a lot of intention, meditation, and thought that goes into curating the best outcome for the client. But it's not going to be like for example, today I was doing a walkthrough with a client, and the contractor's like, we can never use this backsplash again because it was really hard to install. And I said, no, we can never use this backsplash again because when it goes on my website, it's for this project. We're not going to use this backsplash again because it'd be easy for me to go in and say, I know that looks beautiful, that's great, we're going to use it. That's a focal point. Like I don't use the same wallpapers and backsplashes and things like that unless somebody's like, I really love white subway tile. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do it in a different pattern than if we have to have white subway. Like, please, no more white subway, no more white subway, and no more shiplap. I'm done.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. So I'm redoing my house right now.
Okay.
We've been here 10 years. So we're going to all these furniture stores. I'm getting dragged there with my wife. But we actually went to go look at cars too, which I didn't mind. But it looked
Bonus.
like the color that is coming in right now is green. Everything is green.
You know why?
Everything is green. It's like hunter green, like I'm back in
Right.
1995
It's
again.
not hunter green. It's not hunter green. It's more of like
Maybe
a
apple green.
grassy sage green. And the reason why is because after COVID and with everything these years have provided us with, I mean, the tragedy in North Carolina, all the hurricanes that coming in, everything in the year, I mean, everything literally going on in the world, people can feel it and they're starting to disconnect and they need that connection to nature. We're starting to disconnect from TV. We're starting to disconnect from like the news. The news channels are taking, nobody's getting their news from the news channels anymore. They're all getting it off TikTok or like some other source, but we can't, our nervous systems are shot. There is a huge connection with nature, and nature is very calming. That's why you're seeing blues and greens right now, because blue's
Are
kind of like
we bringing
overdone.
back the green refrigerator?
No,
I
but if
I
you want it, we can do it.
I remember my parents had a green refrigerator growing up. I got back then the appliances were
Avocado
clear.
green. It was avocado green.
Yeah, it was
So-
disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I saw a Bentley, Lou. It was like a dark candy apple green. It was really nice.
Don't tell me you're going to be one of those guys that puts a car in his living room.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely not going to do that. But okay. Who picks these colors? Who are the they? This is the color we're going with. But it's Mercedes, it's Bentley, it's Ethan Allen. It's everywhere. And
it's
like
in
it must
fashion.
be like
It's
a
Pantone.
ball
This
of
was
people saying
already,
this is the color.
listen,
Pantone.
we know, like, that like subliminal messages, right? You know about MK Ultra, you know about all those things. Like we are seeing things and we don't even realize we see them. There's all sorts of tests. I did this really cool test, and it was like, let's see how far you are. And it gave like, it said like 1 + 1 is, whatever, 2 + 2. And then it said, what's the first vegetable that comes to your mind? And I'm like, carrot. And they're like, if you picked carrot, like that is because of this, because we put those messages in because of whatever. Like, it's like, that is really interesting. Like everything we see in here helps us think these people like the people that are picking the colors and the everything that's going on, they all get together. There's color forecasting and there's trend forecasting happening. It starts really in like, I think it starts in fashion and then it starts trickling down. So,
Sure.
they do these color trends and then it starts trickling down and then we see it and we like it and we see it and it ends up on Instagram and all these people are doing things ahead of time. So by the time it already gets to us, they planned this out over a year ago. Like it's all
It's
planned
so
out.
crazy.
But we see
Yeah.
the homogenization of cultures, like you said, in everything. You see it in foods. Like
Mhm.
you go to Bangkok and you can get an American continental breakfast, right? Like if you look at the highways, every car is black, white, and silver. Like
Mhm.
it's this, everything is homogenized. So how
We've
do
become
you?
little worker bee ants. Like everything is just, and that's what people are going to
Well,
start getting
damn it,
out
that's
of.
why we need Elizabeth Erin Designs.
Exactly.
How do we incorporate unique design? Look, come on, offices are
Yeah.
boring. Look, I'm in our podcast here in our office, and it's kind of boring. We've got some
I
desks,
could
we've got some,
totally fix it up. It doesn't say anything about your personality, and that's what needs to happen. There's this drive for more
get over to
authenticity.
New York. Come on.
I, I'll be there. I have a designer in New York. She's in Rochester. She works for me.
We don't like to hire people in New York. They put zeros after the invoices.
No, you'd be hiring me in Florida. You'd be hiring me in Florida. She's just boots on the ground in New York. So she would just be your lead designer.
Jodi,
Gotcha.
all kidding aside, how does Jodi Peterman
Mhm.
come to own a business called Elizabeth Erin Designs?
Oh my gosh.
What's the etymology?
That is such a good story. I'll try and simplify it, but still hit all the fun points. So I had a business partner in 2003. That didn't go very well, and we needed to part ways. At that pivotal point, I could have said, forget it. I'm going to go find a job at Walmart and be done with this. Or I talked to my husband. He's like, if you think you can do this, I'll back you. Let's buy her out. So I bought her out and the company was in her name. So I was like, okay, so now what am I going to name my company? And I'm like, okay, J. Peterman Designs. Sounds like a great design name. I thought very perfect. And I was living in New Jersey at the time. You're shaking your head. And I would literally tell people, what do you think about this name? And they would literally, I'm not kidding you. Some people ended up on the floor laughing so hard, belly laughing. It's like, I don't understand. It's my name. Why is that so funny? And they're like, you don't get it. Like, you must not watch Seinfeld because Elaine's boss, who's an idiot, his name is Jay Peterman, and like everybody, he's just the biggest goofball. And I'm like, okay, well, like I'm not going to be hired as the biggest goofball designer in New Jersey, so that's not happening. I was literally working in my loft. We had a condo. I was working in my loft. I was typing away, trying to figure out what I was going to name my company. And I had two little girls, they're twins, Hannah, Elizabeth, and Sydney Erin, and they were driving me crazy and doing things that kids normally do. And I leaned over the railing and I said, Hannah, Elizabeth, and Sydney Erin, stop. Oh, Hannah, Elizabeth, and Sydney Erin, Elizabeth Erin Designs, EE. Perfect. That's how that happened.
I love it.
Thanks.
So why don't you tell everybody, Jodi, where they can actually find you and get in touch with you if they have any questions on interior design?
Absolutely. So on our website, it's elizabetherindesigns.com, and Erin is spelled Erin. There's a yellow button called Contact Us, and they can click on it, fill out a little bit of information, and get my schedule. We offer a complimentary 1 hour consultation in which I listen to my clients and understand what the scope of their project is. And then the rest of the time is spent going over our process because the first step in the EED process is the discovery call. Like we need to discover if their project's a good fit for us and if we're a good fit for their project because we're not for everybody. And I don't need to be for everybody. I just need to be for my people and the people who want to work the way we work because through the EED process, I found in my own experience, it's the best way to have clients maintain control over their budget. So
Erin, I'm curious. I want to ask you one
yeah.
quick question. If you had the option of working with a dream client, does the dream client mean an old Victorian restoration or an Upper East Side brownstone? Or do you prefer that vacant lot where you can start from scratch? Like, what's your ideal client?
My ideal client is somebody or a couple or a single person, whoever it is, that is, understanding, is respectful, can set boundaries, can listen to and understand ideas. I don't care if it's a vacant lot, if it's a 20-story building, if it's a boutique hotel, I can work on any project. We have the bandwidth and the knowledge to take care of all that. I'm looking for more of a personality in a client that we can work together and they understand value add and it's more of a team effort. If you're going to be a screamer and yell and complain when things go wrong, like I don't want to work with you. I'm going to
Why
make
not?
things right. I don't want to. I'm in a different phase of my life. I'm tired of getting yelled at for things that are out of my control. I'm going to set boundaries. If you're going to be calling me at midnight saying you're screaming because you're mad at your husband and you're now getting divorced and I should call everybody and tell them to cancel everything, I'm not into that anymore. Like I used that my anxiety level, I'm done with all of that.
Thank you so much. Before Matt takes us home, I just want to thank you. And on behalf of the audience, for the record, Brooklyn mentions 2, Staten Island mentions 0. Thank you, Jodi, from the bottom of my heart.
But she lives in Florida, so we're good. And she said she was in Jersey, so that's practically Staten Island. I mean, come on. Jodi, thanks so much for being here. One question before I let you run. What's your favorite piece of furniture?
My favorite piece of furniture, I love a really good sectional or a sofa with a chase on it. I love to get comfy. I like a place where I can snuggle and read and have a good cup of tea.
So when we come to your house, there's not going to be like we go to Luigi's house and there's plastic on the couches, so you can't sit on them.
No,
you don't know what my interior designer.
Listen,
Did your grandmother have that? The plastic on the couches?
It came with the avocado appliances. Are you kidding me? We have a line of furniture that has performance fabric, so it's pet and kid friendly. So like I live in Florida, so I like the white look. So I have a white sofa and a husband who loves to eat spaghetti on it, and grandkids. My daughter loves to drink red wine on it. I like easy breezy, so it looks like $1 million, but it cleans like a dream. That's what I like. That's the livable luxury that I'm talking about. And if they don't go to our website and they want to check other things out, they can go to Facebook. We have Elizabeth Erin Designs on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. So they can really, if they can't find us, we're there. But it's Elizabeth Erin because a lot of people do Erin Elizabeth. So it's Elizabeth Erin Designs.
Jodi, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
That's a wrap of the Liquid Lunch Project. Guys, today your podcast was brought to you by Credit Bank. If you need working capital for your business and you don't want ridiculous terms and to make daily or weekly payments, go to creditbank.io.com. You can get up to $150,000 with the best rates and terms possible. And the best of all, the payments are monthly. See you on the next one.
Thank you for listening to the show. And make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. We'll see you on the next episode of The Liquid Lunch Project.